Shock the system.
How you doing?
Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame in.
This is the Heel to the Face podcast with your hosts, Jared Wicks and Brandon Icebreaker Clements. Tweet us using the handle at Heel to the Face.
Woo! 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 Woo!
The bell is rung, so let's step in the ring with your hosts, Brandon and Jared.
This is the Heel to Face podcast. It's Icebreaker 21 to my right if you're watching us on YouTube at Icebreaker 21, myself at K-Rock Jared. I'm Jared Wicks. Welcome to another week's edition of the show as we are on the road to WrestleMania, currently on the road to the Elimination Chamber, now about a week and a half away. I think they should have pushed it back a little bit and got rid of Fastlane, but that'll be another topic entirely in just a few minutes. Let's get this week's edition of the show underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening
With a 20-minute time limit.
So we're on the road to the Elimination Chamber in about 2 weeks from, I don't even know where. I'm not going. That's why I know. It's somewhere. I think it's Houston or something. I think
it's Houston.
I think it's Houston. I just know I looked it in. I know Fastlane is in Cleveland. Of course, probably the least two of the good pay-per-views coming up. But Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is the current Stone Cold Steve Austin of the women's division. Is that what you give it?
Yes, I agree. It's Stone Cold during the Attitude Era. I like what she did on back-to-back shows. Monday night, she knocked Stephanie around and then gave old Triple H the old smack. I like it. I like this attitude. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it's a legit injury?
Absolutely not. Well, you know it's not a legit injury.
Okay. No, let me rephrase that. Do you think it's an injury that they're making more serious than it is? Maybe it's like a minor sprain. Maybe she did tweak it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why you know it's not legit injury. Okay, because when she fell out at the Royal Rumble, she grabbed the wrong leg.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Good call.
No, she grabbed her right leg she fell out of the Royal Rumble. It's her left leg that's
and she's
hurt.
milking it.
So if you go back and watch the Royal Rumble, her first thought when she fell out of the ring at the Royal Rumble was to grab her right leg. And then she fixed it when she got back in the ring against Charlotte Flair. So that's answers your question there, Brandon.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
You need to watch your Botchamania. I think
is there like a Twitter account for that? Because I'm sure
there's the YouTube videos Botchamania. You're not familiar?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you got to look up Botchamania. If you don't know at home about Botchamania,
I'm gonna have to check
well, you
this
do
out.
because if you're listening to us and watching us on YouTube, you know all about the wrestling community. I assume.
Well, I do, but I just never. It's
Botchamania. It's like a weekly 20-minute. Just they show all the botches. It doesn't break it down week by week, show by show. It's just they create like a new episode each week, and
I hear about the botches. Like I haven't seen them. I'm not familiar with the program. I'll have to check that out. But I do. A lot of times if you're looking through like the Bleacher Reports, you're looking through all the different wrestling communities. They'll actually say like I know recently, Sarah Logan's name pops up because that's who was on Raw this week. She has a lot of botches. I don't know what it is. Like they were like it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. She was in a match. I think it was. Oh no, maybe it was before that. It was the match. I think it was a tag match against Natalya, and there was a ton of bad. And I noticed it too, and I'm like, wow, she totally botched that. And then you can look, and they ripped her apart on the internet wrestling community. I don't know. What did you make? Speaking of Sarah Logan, and we'll go to Liv Morgan. This whole duo here. What is this proof? Does it prove Ronda is just the baddest woman on the planet? The whole Riots. The Riot Squad. 2 out of 3 of them got beat. And then Ruby Riott kind of said, I'm just gonna hightail it out back.
No, I think it's just filler for Monday Night Raw. I think the big story on Raw was obviously Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch. And my big thing is staying with Becky Lynch is that I don't care how this is going out. The Daniel Bryan versus the Authority thing that they did a couple years ago, I felt was a little more organic because it felt more real. With the whole Becky Lynch, like, why doesn't she just want to go because she doesn't trust the doctors? That's the strongest storyline you got. She won't go to the doctor just because she doesn't trust the doctor.
Yeah, I know why they're playing it. They're playing it off because of the face breaker. What's her face? Nia Jax. Mm-hmm. That to me, I think they're just playing it off of that.
They can make it a little more realistic. Like with the Daniel Bryan and the Authority before WrestleMania 30, that's 5 years ago now. It's crazy.
I can't believe that, yeah.
But with that, while all that was going on, that seemed a little more real, a little more organic, a little more Triple H actually playing his part. Stephanie McMahon doing the whole thing of, being the real authority and selling her main event. See, I liked what Ronda Rousey said if you caught backstage. That felt very real, where when Ronda Rousey was very disappointed with Becky Lynch and got in her face, and she's not breaking character, but she's being UFC. She's being MMA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where she's talking about, hey, we're trying to sell a fight here.
And then she says, Advil and ice, you know?
So I like
That's
that Ronda
good.
Rousey, the professional wrestler, is being portrayed as the MMA fighter.
Now, you mentioned Ronda Rousey. I've been reading a lot of different reports all over. I check these things. I look all over Twitter and all these internet, websites that I go to. I'm getting conflicting reports. Is Ronda actually leaving or not? I read that her contract does not expire until 2021. My thinking, from gathering everything that I've seen, I don't think she's leaving to leave. I think she's honestly leaving to start a family. That's the gist I've gotten from that. I think she wants to have a child.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's my
definitely,
thought.
I don't see her leaving WWE since she just got here. She seems like she's been very happy here. One thing that she likes
Yes.
about WWE over UFC is this is the first place she said that she gets to work as a team. Everywhere else, she's like pretty individual. UFC, the Olympics, it was just her.
Which is
here,
kinda
it's
weird,
you're
though.
working as a team.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's a weird comment, though. I'm not an MMA fighter or anything, but you do have your team, though, your fight team.
That's true.
It's like, think of it this way, like in a different aspect. I mean, it's a totally different sport. NASCAR, you're driving the car, but you have your pit crew, you have your crew chief. Think of it in the fight game. Yes, you're the one in there throwing, dropping, elbows and things like that. But you have your whole team. You have your trainers and stuff. So I don't know what I don't get the meaning behind that. I think there's more of a team aspect in UFC than there is WWE.
I think she's probably just referring to the fight itself.
Okay.
But yeah, I think she seems to be having a good time.
And that's fine. I'm totally okay with it because I do like what she brings. To me, she's developed into a very solid in-ring competitor in the WWE sense. I mean, we already knew she was technically gifted, obviously, in her time in UFC. But I would say, I mean, she's putting on some good matches. Her matches have been, I think they've been terrific. I mean, she's doing some moves that I don't think any other women's wrestler is doing right now. Obviously, her arm bar is her trademark. I think she reminds me kind of, and hopefully I'm not, I don't want to push it too far, but she kind of reminds me of how Kurt Angle kind of picked things up as quickly as he did, back in the day from his Olympic wrestling days to the WWE.
I mean, nobody would have thought Kurt Angle would be a WWE Hall of Famer. It pretty much acted like that was his first nature, not the actual amateur wrestling.
Now, I have to ask you this. Speaking of Kurt Angle, what did you think of that whole segment where it was like it sounded like he was retiring, and then he had the
They're
match?
just trying to give him some sort of excuse to show back up again for a WrestleMania match. I don't feel that he's going to be here for a long time, but I feel they're trying to get him involved in WrestleMania, kind of what they did, what was it, with Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, where they have him like announce his retirement only for somebody to coax him out to fight at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And I will say this, to your point, I do believe after WrestleMania, I think Kurt Angle's done.
Yeah, I don't think he's really got much more to prove or to do.
Yeah, what's he really need to do? I mean, we all noticed it. We've talked about it on previous shows. He's stiff in the ring. Like you can just tell like he tries. He tries. The guy, you could tell he still has the athleticism. I think it's more of a, it's mental that he has it there, but some of the things he just can't do like he used to. Like you can still tell that he works out. He's still in great shape, but that's what happens with athletes. It's father time. Once father time hits you, and he even said it. He even said on, I think it was on this week's show or the week before. He said, there's one opponent I can't beat, and it's father time. He's absolutely correct. That doesn't just go for WWE. That goes for every sport. You see guys in every sport where they hit the peak, and then you see them kind of, they start falling off. I mean, how many times did Brett Favre retire before, he finally said, okay, I'm really done this time?
I was actually watching something this week when he's kind of tying in the NFL. Dan Marino's last game. I didn't know. I mean, I guess I didn't pay attention too much at the time, but Dan Marino's last game, like the worst game in NFL history.
What was that, 2003?
2001 or 2000.
He's been out that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
62-7, I think they lost in the first round of the playoffs, the second round of the playoffs.
That was his last game.
Yeah, to the Jaguars.
That's an awful way of going out.
Yeah.
He lost to the Jags. So he lost to Mark Brunell and his team. Wow.
Yeah. He lost to the backup because they took Mark Brunell out.
Oh, was it?
Because they were up. It was like 41-0 at one time in like the second quarter.
So Mark Brunell started and then somebody finished
Yeah.
it. Man, I didn't realize that was like that's a fun fact. I didn't even know that.
Like he completed like 2 interceptions before he got a completion. He threw 2 interceptions before completion in that game.
What a bad way to go out.
Like a 7.7 quarterback rating he finished.
Why
out with
couldn't
that.
you go out like John Elway? You know, he wins the Super Bowl and
Everyone would love to go out
Peyton
like John
Manning.
Elway or Michael Strahan or
Peyton Manning
Jerome
did it.
Bettis.
I mean, not everybody has that chance. Some guys
Peyton
come,
Manning, yeah.
Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, John Elway took a chance because he won, and then he's like, you know what? I'll come back and win another one. You know, how many times that like failed? It happens more often than not. He came back and won. But I mean, back to Kurt Angle. I wish they would keep him backstage. I feel like they might as a producer. I mean, how many producers?
I really don't think he's going to go anywhere. And I feel like I'm
How
not
many
saying he
producers
could
can you
use
have,
the
though?
money, but I feel with the issues that he had a couple years ago, he really needs something to keep him busy. I think that
Yeah,
was
I agree.
probably the issue he had when he left WWE and joined Impact Wrestling when he was, had the addiction to pain pills. So doing something is probably pretty important for him to be doing.
Yes.
But it's just not actually in-ring wrestling.
Yes, and also another person. I mean, not to I don't think any of the pain, the medical addictions. I guess the painkillers and whatnot. Paige is. Obviously she's not wrestling anymore. She's one bad bump away from being paralyzed. I think is what I read. And I kind of watched a little bit of that Chronicle. I think it is 24 or whatever it is on the network. And I do like what they're doing with her now. I mean, she is kind of a backstage producer from what I've read. And then she has this new movie coming out, which, by the way, is coming out in 2 weeks?
Yeah, finally. I mean, we've been seeing previews for it. I think I saw the first trailer for it last year at WrestleMania.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it seems...
As a wrestling fan,
it seems very strange that they hype up this movie, because Paige, was she really... she was young. But was she really that much of a trendsetter? Was she really that much of a game changer?
I would say in
they're
some
really making it out
aspects,
like
yes.
this is, Babe Ruth or... the entire women's evolution was behind her.
You got to
in
remember,
this.
though, she came in at a time where it was all divas, and she's some gothy rock chick, punk chick, I guess.
I mean, I get that's her character. I mean,
but she wasn't
not really
like,
much different than AJ Lee, I guess.
Yeah, but I honestly, if you put AJ Lee's career up against Paige's, I think people are going to go with Paige's being more.
Paige's career was like what, 2 years?
Yeah, but what she did in that short time, I think, outweighs what AJ Lee did.
Like I said, I get she was young. That came in, and she came not from the traditional American household, but I guess they're just making out this movie like somebody from, Ireland, came over, England,
yes.
England came over and just was like the first women's wrestler, period. Like this isn't,
Well, no,
they're really making it out like she changed professional wrestling.
You know how movies are, though.
My dad, he's a good test because he doesn't know professional wrestling. So you always give him the test. If he hasn't heard of Paige, he's heard of John Cena. He's heard of Hulk Hogan. He's heard of The Rock, Undertaker,
Macho Man, I'm sure.
Ric Flair. He's heard of all these people. So when I say like Paige changed the game, how much did she change the game? If you're not a wrestling fan, do you know who Paige is?
I mean, hey, Paige. I'll tell you this right now. Paige was a great wrestler. She was. I mean, I feel like
she's not main eventing a WrestleMania, nor if she was still wrestling, could she?
She helped push for where the women's division is right now. She is.
Well, I'm not saying she wasn't integral.
She really was. And to me, people know the Bella Twins, but are the Bella Twins that really great of wrestlers?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like her story is very unique, maybe even worthy of a movie. But
here's the thing.
To sell a movie, you got to really make it out like this is. People are like, is this like the story of Mae Young? Is this the story like is this the story of somebody?
You know how movies are though, based on it's like it says based on a true story. They're gonna hype it up a little bit, like. I mean, and like when I watched, being a big Syracuse fan, they had a movie called The Express, which is based on Ernie Davis. Part of the story was they were getting taunted by the West Virginia fans down in West Virginia. That season, they played at home against West Virginia. It's like it's how they spin the story up a little bit. So, I mean, from seeing the preview, I actually might go see this in the theaters. I don't say that much anymore because there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of great movies out there nowadays. And plus movie tickets are expensive anyways. But I think I might, go to the movie, get some soda and popcorn and watch it.
Speaking of women, staying with Becky Lynch, staying with the championship match for WrestleMania, it seems pretty apparent that is going to be the main event for WrestleMania. I think they've already let the cat out of the bag. I think Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey, in part of their little feud going back and forth, we're talking about, you're going to ruin the main event for WrestleMania. So I think it's pretty apparent that that's going to be the main event.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
But adding Charlotte Flair, and it looks like that's what they want to do. What is your feelings about this? Because I personally don't like it. I think Charlotte Flair is great. I think Charlotte Flair, if Becky Lynch didn't take off, would have been a great substitute to have her go one-on-one against Ronda Rousey. I'm just not feeling a triple threat match for the main event.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what's going to happen. I believe the way they're setting this thing up, Charlotte's going to weasel her way in. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. To me, give the fans what they want. A true one-on-one match. Becky, Ronda. That's the way it should be. I don't know why WWE would do anything else, other than that.
I think Charlotte Asuka should rematch.
Yeah.
Because who else do you have for Asuka? If you put Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda in that main event, what are you doing with Asuka in the SmackDown
Asuka's
Championship?
not sitting out. There's no way. What are you going to put her in with?
Naomi.
Yeah, I mean, are you going to put her in with the Iconics? One of the girls from the Iconics, Peyton Royce? No. To me, and you're right. You made a good point. You should put Charlotte and Asuka in a match. Becky, Ronda, because they're hyping up the women's revolution. They've been hyping that up for a while. You got to put on some good matches, and to me, those are the four best.
Do you think that maybe having a women's match that is also pretty good could kind of undermine what they're trying to sell? Meaning they might want to not give Asuka anything great at WrestleMania because they're really putting it in like this is the only women's match on the card. They really want to sell Becky versus.
I don't think they want to do that.
You
I don't think that's. I mean,
because if Charlotte and Asuka go tear down the house, you think they're gonna have a gripe of like if there's two women's matches on this card.
Well, actually, there's probably
why aren't we the main event?
There are going to be 3 matches on the
with the tag belts. Yeah.
There's definitely going to be 3. I mean, obviously, we'll get to that later on, but I mean, I see it like this. This is how I see it playing out. Obviously, things are going to change. WWE is very fluid. You know how that goes. Injuries happen, or they just change someone's character direction. To me, I see it like this. I see Becky winning the title at WrestleMania, beating Ronda. I think that's going to happen. That's my opinion. And honestly, I see Charlotte Flair beating Asuka. I see 2 title changes, and then the champion of the inaugural women's.
Well, you see that if we don't have a triple threat, you're saying.
Yes, if that happens. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors here. So I see Becky is as the Raw champion, Charlotte running SmackDown, and then I see Bayley and Sasha Banks as the first tag team champions. Am I going crazy on that, or do you think that? I think that's a pretty good way of doing things.
Yeah.
Who else is going to win the tag team championships for the women's division? Who does? There's only 2 names that I can see out there: Sasha and Bayley. What do they call it? The Boss and Hug Connection. I think that's what they call it. But to me, who else is there? The women's division. Yes, there are some great talent. The thing I'm concerned about with this tag team, division they're developing, they're really going to water down the product. I feel like. I'm not saying that in a bad way because there are so many talented women, but with what you're doing right now, there's not enough solid in-ring competitors in the women's division to not only have 2 championships but a tag championship. That's the way I look at it. Because where's the competition going to be?
Let's get to our Twitter question of the week. That's the chirps, as you heard right there. So our Twitter question this week. So Impact Wrestling has been putting out all week, and believe me, I'm just throwing rocks at the wall here. But Impact Wrestling has talked about that they're holding an event, WrestleMania weekend, which I don't think that they normally do. Ring of Honor has, New Japan Wrestling has, a lot of companies. Impact Wrestling has kind of stayed away from WrestleMania weekend. I don't know if they just think they're too good. They don't want to be like a subsidiary for WrestleMania weekend. They want to do their own thing.
Yes.
But they're coming to the Rahway Center in Rahway, New Jersey on Thursday night, an 11 o'clock Eastern start, too, which is strange. I think that's, maybe when they air the show, but it's going to be live at 11 o'clock Eastern from the Rahway Center on the Thursday before WrestleMania in New Jersey. So clearly it's part of WrestleMania weekend. You don't just come to Northern New Jersey that same weekend. For United We Stand. And they've been hyping up their main event for that pay-per-view like all week. They've been putting out things all week. They put out spoilers. It's going to be a main event. That's going to be a huge announcement they're making this week. They're talking about it's going to be a huge name that they're going to announce, something you've never seen before. They're talking about Extreme. A lot of people are talking about it could be RVD. It could be a bunch of different people. So either way, they've been talking about, hyping up this main event for United We Stand WrestleMania weekend. The main event is going to be a first-time matchup, something you've never seen before. They're going to make the announcement this upcoming week. The question is, because I know Impact has said it before, blockbuster announcements. And they've been anything short of blockbuster announcements.
I'm just laughing.
Any chance could be Kenny Omega.
Of course there's a chance. Why wouldn't
25% of our vote this week on the Twitter question said 25% said yes, there's a chance.
I said
75%
yes.
said no.
I say yes just because, I mean, you know me, I'm going to pick the wording of the question. Yeah, there's a chance. Why not? I'm just saying. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I think he's going to AEW. But because of the wording, yeah, of course there's a chance. There's a chance I could show up there. I'm just saying.
So you think it's more of a chance it's going to be maybe like RVD or Tommy Dreamer? Because they also mentioned about how it's, they expect some extreme alumni at this show.
Yeah, I would say more realistically speaking, I would say kind of the RVD, Tommy Dreamer kind of.
RVD, though, would still be pretty interesting if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, RVD.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, I think RVD could still go. I wish he would work with WWE again. I haven't seen him in a WWE ring for a while. Here's what I think. If RVD's not at Impact, don't you think the next thing he's going to do is go to AEW? I feel like that's the cool thing now. AEW. A lot of people are going to AEW right now. I mean, shoot, I was reading an article earlier that Randy Orton would consider it.
Yeah. I read that same article.
And he is the most, I always thought he was like the most WWE hardened guy.
Yeah, I can't imagine him.
Because how many chances has he gotten because of his name and who he is and who he's in cahoots with? And in normal circumstances, if that was No Way Jose back in the day doing what Randy Orton's doing, guess what? He's gone. Randy Orton's gotten a lot of chances. I think he's loyal to WWE. I think he would entertain it just to get the price up from WWE.
So final thing I want to just touch upon this week before we close out this week's show. Not much going on the road to Elimination Chamber. Next week, we will divulge and give our predictions for Elimination Chamber, the pay-per-view. But EC3 made his debut on Monday Night Raw against Dean Ambrose and jobbed out to EC3. Does that confirm or not do anything for you when it comes to the fact that his whole leaving is a work?
I think it's still a work.
I think does him losing EC3 though? To me, that kind of confirmed it's a work.
Yeah, it said to me that exactly. It's definitely a work. And here's the thing: you got to start pushing EC3. I mean, what's he been doing? He's been sitting out in the backstage looking in the mirror. So it's time to. I guess I'll steal a little phrase from Sonya Deville. Put your hair up and square up. I guess just get in the ring and go. So I mean. It was weird how he won, though. EC3 won with a roll-up. He didn't use his finishing maneuver. So, I mean...
Because Dean Ambrose is, I guess, to me, it looks like he's playing the disgruntled employee card.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. They're just doing that as a storyline. I think everyone's going to be... They're going to make it like, all right, man, this is, thanks, Dean, for coming. And then, he's back. He's signing. That's the way I look at it.
I look at it like this. If it was for real, we wouldn't have seen him again on television.
Yeah,
you don't create stories for people Everything is created except for Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Drew Carey, celebrities for, the long term. So what would you even throw him out there for on Monday Night Raw if he's just leaving anyway?
Well, here's the thing. Why do that? Because then if the storyline's good before he leaves and then he goes to AEW, he's only helping AEW.
Yeah.
WWE, what they normally do is if you're not really going to be there, they take you off TV and they try to make people forget about you.
They weaken you as much as can.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
when you show up at AEW, you're a loser.
Yeah, you've been booted for because you remember WWE has I think a clause where you can't wrestle for like 90 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So think of it this way. The last 3 months of your contract, you're not really doing much, and then you have 3 months after your contract. So it's like people are going to forget about you in 6 months, especially if you're not John Cena. You're not the big names like that. People tend to forget. And here's the thing. I don't see him going to AEW. I know people are like, oh, well, AEW is doing stuff in Vegas and Dean lives there. Dean's not going anywhere. Why would he leave the business that his wife, Renee Young, is a success in? I don't think he will. I believe deep down he likes WWE. I think it's a work. I don't see him going anywhere. And also, in that match, obviously EC3, he looked good. I watched that match in full. I'm looking forward to seeing what his character is. What did you make of EC3 and Miss Bliss? That little, Bliss was kind of getting a little hot and heavy over there. She was getting a little sweaty. Do you think you see anything between those two, or just kind of building him as this good-looking guy kind of character?
I think building him as this good-looking guy.
Okay.
I would rather seen him debut at the Royal Rumble, but that's neither here nor there.
I agree.
So that's going to do it for this week's edition of the show. Elimination Chamber next week. We'll talk all about it leading up to it. Pretty uneventful week in the world of professional wrestling, but either way, we're here to talk about it, eventful or not. So Elimination Chamber rundown next week. For Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, you can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21. Myself at KRockJared. Most importantly, follow the show at Heel to the Face on Twitter. That's where you get the links, our Twitter question of the week, and everything else you need to know about the program. For another week, Elimination Chamber coming up on the road to WrestleMania. This has been the Heel to the Face podcast.